You know that I am a bin monitor par excellence, and
Yes.
I love the whole thing of getting the bins out. I noticed this distinctly holier than thou feeling when I've put out everything on time and sorted it appropriately. And with all this moving around that I do, some of the systems in the local councils are completely impenetrable.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Morning.
There she is.
There, indeed.
You lulled me into a false sense of security last week, 4 minutes early, and this week you claimed them back.
Yes, well, 3 minutes of them anyway, according to my computer. Who's starting then?
You.
Okay. I'm going to tell you about that. I have partaken of mince pies several times.
Yeah, I hate them.
Yeah, I don't. They're not my favourite thing, but they do make a bit crispy.
No, I couldn't even bite one. They're disgusting.
Well, I have had an inordinate amount of curries this week. Have I told you about this yet?
No, but I've had quite a lot of curries as well. Tell me.
I went 3 years with hardly a curry in sight when I was in, because they don't really have curry houses.
No.
There's one in Kalamata and there's one in Athens apparently. And then I come back, and then 1 week I had a curry for dinner with Nelson, and then I had leftover curry for lunch, and then I went to see someone and they said, "Oh, let's have a curry, shall we?" And they actually do live next to a really, really good curry house, so I did go. And then I went 2 days. I had 1 day off, and Chinese I had on that day. And then I went for lunch with someone, and they said, "Oh, let's go to a curry place I know."
And at no point did you say, "Look, do you mind? I've had 3 curries already this week."
No, because I do absolutely love curry, and both of the latter curries were from, well recognised fine dining curry establishments.
Yes.
You can't turn it down when it's, I do love it, I must say. So that was very funny. So I've been out and about quite a lot this week.
Okay.
And what else happened? Oh, I had a very strange senior moment this week. I was sitting at my desk thinking about going to get a haircut. And it's lovely and sunny today, but my God, it's been throwing it down the rest of the week. And I was thinking to myself, I can't be asked to put my Chelsea. So it's a bit of a long story here. I bought some Chelsea boots. I've always wanted some. And I do love them, but they're a bugger to get on and off. And Phoebe said, "Oh, don't worry, I've got a shoehorn somewhere." And so she produced a shoehorn, quite a nice long one. And I thought that'd be blooming useful to get my shoes on at least. And then Irving came round to get some stuff, and he must have taken the shoehorn with him, because now I'm in the predicament of having.
You've been sleeping in them ever since because you can't get them off.
Yeah, I get them off all right. Phoebe pulls them off for me. It was getting them on that's the tricky bit. So trendy but incapacitated is how I am on the shoot. Anyway, so I was sitting there thinking to myself, I really need to go and make an appointment to get my hair cut. And then I thought I could ring them, I suppose, but I've got an aversion to speaking to people on the phone. I thought I could just pop out, and that would be good. It'll take a little perambulate up the high street. It would be good for me. And I thought, I can't be asked to put those Chelsea boots on, though. And I thought to myself suddenly, Nicola, you didn't just arrive here with a pair of slippers and a pair of Birkenstocks. What did you used to wear before the Chelsea boots were a feature in your wardrobe? And I suddenly remembered I had 2 pairs of trainers that I'd totally forgotten about. A really very strange moment that was. So I dug out my Converse and put those on and went and made a hair appointment, which I'm having this afternoon. And finally, my news for the week is that Nelson has secured a venue in Brighton, a brand new venue, for another one of his venerable nights out. It's not called Nelson's Big Night Out, but that's what I'm calling it now. And he's got to put a deposit down, which he gets back, quite a substantial sum of money, which he gets back if they make over £2,000 on the bar. And the capacity of the place is 212 people, and he filled the capacity of the last place was 120, and he filled it easily. And people came and went during the evening. So,
and when is the due?
It's 21st 1st of December, so he's got about a month to promote it, which is about right.
I couldn't hear what you said. Did you say the 21st?
Yeah, 21st, yes.
Yeah, sorry. We've got a bit of a problem on the line because it swallowed the date both times. I think you're saying the 21st of December.
I am indeed.
Okay.
That is the exact date, Judy. So put it in your diary.
Yes, I have. Of course, it would necessitate a visit to Brighton, my favourite place.
Yes, I said to them, what time does it start then? They said 11. I said, oh, really?
Oh, dear, after bedtime.
Yeah, really. So I said, I might not be attending, but you never know. I might.
Oh, I definitely think you've got to be there. You'll have to cut the ribbon at the beginning or something.
Well, Irving and Joe went last time, which surprised the hell out of everyone, apparently. But but this time, I mean, the thing is, if I go out about 9, but then even going out about 9 is a psychological jump, isn't it?
Well, it's Christmas time. You might be feeling festive. It's a Saturday night. You could Uber it.
It's a Saturday night, is it? How did you manage to get a Saturday night? That's amazing.
No idea.
Well, I think the guy wants to fill it up, so he's just taking it over. He's an ex-raver. And Nelson says he looks a bit lived in, if you know what I mean.
I was going to say you're an ex-raver. Irving's an ex-raver. We're all ex-ravers, aren't we?
I suppose we are, yes. But anyway, this guy does look rather lived in. I've seen pictures. And but anyway, he's just taken this place over with some partners, apparently, and he's looking for young up-and-coming promoters. So,
do you want to tell us what the place is called or not?
I don't know what the place is called.
Okay.
So
all right.
It's okay. Oh, hang on, it's coming back to me. It used to be called Mono, and it's now called Liberty.
Okay.
So it's under the arches on the Brighton seafront.
Oh, you're not making it better.
No. Yeah. The wind and the rain and the waves howl the gale down there. But anyway, so he's all excited. And it's quite interesting from a business point of view because, I had a bit of a chat with him about the marketing and how he was going to do it in a month. And it turned out he used to run Facebook ads for his last one. I said, really? How did you do that then? He said, well, I just did it. And I said, well, you didn't ask me for any help. He said, no, I didn't need any help.
Yes. Hurrah. Yes. He clearly didn't think you would need help. He thought you'd be interference.
Astonishing. I mean, Phoebe's got, quite a lack of confidence, but Nelson is absolutely barrels full of it.
Yeah, brilliant. Bish, bash, bosh.
Yes. So that's my week, and I'm having a big day today because Irene arrives from Sunderland, and we're going out for cocktails, and then we're going to the Ivy for dinner.
Thank God you're not having another curry.
No, good point.
Yeah, sorry, Irene, no curry while you're down south.
No, absolutely, yes. So she arrives. I've got a hair appointment before then and a doctor's appointment, and I've got recording the podcast, then I've got to do my own call, then I've got to do a client call. So it's a very packed day, Judy.
Okay.
What about you then?
Well, I'm getting ready to move on after 3 weeks in Hampshire, and between this gig and the next one, I've got 6 nights of relative luxury paid for by myself by way of both antidote and reward. I'm really excited about that. But 2 big no-nos in regards to picking the New Forest as a potential location for my forever home, which is a shame because actually it had so much going for it. But bad omen, had a dreadful haircut yesterday.
Oh, no.
It's the first since I've been on the road. It's the first in nearly 3 years. It's the first bad haircut in 3 years. And the good news about me is my hair's so short that there's a joke that applies here. What's the difference between a bad haircut and a good haircut?
2 days.
3 weeks, yes. Exactly right. You've got the gist of it. Which means that even if I was doing something for Christmas, which I'm not, I would look normal again by Christmas.
So it's really short.
It's not that it's really short. I booked in for a wet cut. I never need somebody to put me backwards into a bowl and do my hair because I've had a shower in the morning about 20 minutes before I've rocked up. And normally they squirt you. She didn't. She charged me for a wet cut, but there was no water involved. Oh. And I think hair cuts better when it's wet, don't you?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah, so she cut it dry. And I could see as she was doing it, that I'd given her too much leeway, really. Normally that's a good thing because I do think they are creatives like us, artisans, and I like to give them, an opportunity to improve what they see in front of them. That's not what happened yesterday, no. But I'm not too bothered about it. I can't see it as I'm sitting here. And I was reminded of an old boyfriend who I said to him once, I'm sorry, I can't come out. I've had a bad haircut. He said, can't you just put a hat on? I mean, I could put a hat on, but really, I don't think anybody will notice. I won't see anybody. I know I don't think. Anyway, whatever. So, and the other thing, which happened to me once before, something I'm called the Beckenham factor. I don't even remember a year ago, I was in Bromley. And Bromley is a sort of dormitory suburb of London, and bang next door to it, a bit like Brighton and Hove, is Beckenham. Sort of Bromley and Beckenham, they sort of merge. It's sort of urban sprawl. And once I went on a little outing to Waitrose in Beckenham, leading up to Christmas, to get some essential ingredient, and I fell into this. Wasn't really the Stepford Wives, it was the old white middle class equivalent of the Stepford Wives, where the shop was just full of people about 20 years older than me, all white, all middle class, usually in couples, very slow going around the shop, slow in every sense, banging their trolleys into each other and being annoying. And their uniform is the little light padded jacket, which means
I know the one you mean.
Yes, they don't get too hot.
Pastel colours.
They don't get too hot in the car, and they don't get too cold in the freezer section. And do you know what? I find this really freaky because of all those years in London. I want to live somewhere where everybody isn't the same age, colour and social demographic as me. I find it quite scaring, and honestly, I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. I feel weirded out by it.
Oh, tell me about it. I can't go to Marks and Spencer's coffee shop.
Well, I think, you know, I put down the bottom here. Is it because I'm in Marks and Spencer's and Waitrose, which are magnets for them? And is it because they're 20 years older than me, they don't shop online? So online. So everybody else. So there are people around here who aren't white, old and middle class, but they're all shopping online and at home. I need people of all colours, all creeds, all ages, all everything. Yes, I do. Yeah. And it's like you've been sucked into, you know, the Stepford Wives crossed with Cocoon. It's like, I can't. And I'm coming home in the car thinking, I can't live here now because everybody's white and old and middle class. That would really freak me.
Yeah, no, I understand completely.
You know, it's much worse than the haircut. If I was living locally, I could source another hairdresser, but you can't do anything about the population. And then I thought, where can you live in the UK that's reasonably rural? I'm going to ask Facebook to help me with this. It's reasonably rural, but when you go into town, there's a cosmopolitan. Well, I don't really care about cosmopolitan. I just want them to be different ages would be a start. You know, not just grandparents, but parents and children.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people live, a lot of celebs live just outside Brighton on the Downs, because it's close to London and Brighton. You've got cosmopolitan atmosphere in Brighton just down the road, and then you've got easy access to London.
Yes, you do. Brighton and Bristol, I think, is probably...
I was going to say Bristol,
yes. Yes, I do think it's a little bit too far west for me. I think there must be perfectly nice towns in England that are not populated just by old white people.
The problem with towns generally is that they have these horrendous high streets on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And I'm not really being judgmental, but no. I live over a high street now.
Yes.
It is frightening.
Yes.
How unbelievably drunk people get.
It's frightening in another way, isn't it? Yes, I know. I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, it's just really scary.
What that means is it's pushing our population into ghettos.
Yes. It is.
No, not just black ones, white ones.
Yeah.
You know, this was a ghetto that I was in Ferndown in Dorset. It was. That's the only word for it. If everybody's all the same. And, you know, I think some people find that reassuring. I don't.
Yeah, Heather said to us last week, she said, don't fancy a coffee, girls? And Sarah said, oh, you know, because we try and meet up halfway, which is short, which is great for me. And Sarah said, well, let's go to Teddy's, which is in Shoreham High Street, and serves the most wonderful cake. And Heather said, Heather's always very practical. She wants to be able to park easily, walk in, and do a bit of shopping at the same time.
Yes.
So she said Marks and Spencer's, and Sarah and I both went, oh, no, it's far too expensive.
I know. It's a bit like when Kevin and I met at the Waitrose Cafe in Sudbury. It's like, I mean, it's like where old people meet for a safe cup of coffee. It's strange, really, isn't it?
Grim.
I don't want that in my future, even when I'm 80. Can I tell you now?
Yes, absolutely. With those strange cheese.
If you ever visit me and I'm living in the land of the lightweight padded jacket, take me out of there. Okay?
When have you ever let me visit you?
Once, I think. In fact, there was a nice long house sit in Shoreham, and I thought, I can't go and live down there. She'll be around all the time.
Oh no, exactly. I'd be really happy if you came.
Unfortunately, somebody else has snaffled it now. Tell me what has fueled your fire.
Well, we had a mysteriously large spike in numbers last week. You know, we
yes, I know. And you showed me the picture, didn't you? And I went, what's that large spike on the end? You went, what, that one in the middle? I went, no, that one on the end, the one denoted by the enormous one on the end.
Well, we've since you went on that creative radio show.
Yes, yep.
Had podcast. Yep. Our numbers have increased. Actually, our numbers have increased since September when we came back off holiday. And they are steadily increasing, which is really nice. But last week we had a spike of 600 downloads on the first day, which is normally we normally get about
400
from 600 to just over 1,000 downloads per episode straight away. But this 600 on the first day was unheard of. It made a noticeable visual spike.
Have you looked since to see what's happened to that? Has that trend continued?
It just died down a bit. It died down to normal. So, and the thing is, when you look at the actual numbers for the shows, you see that there's no specific show that's benefited from it. It seems to be that we get. Oh, we had a good enough spike, good enough spikette on the current show.
Yeah.
And it seems to be perhaps when somebody recommends something and people come and download all different shows. You can't really expect,
If you come and subscribe, does your app download 50 episodes or 100 episodes?
Well, my app is Overcast, and it doesn't actually download any of them. It just puts it in. So that you can, if you touch on the all button, you can see a list of all of the recent ones.
Yes.
But it doesn't actually download any until you actually want to listen to one, and then it downloads it. Oh. So I don't think people are actually coming, subscribing, and then tapping to download, and perhaps they're tapping to download 3 or 4 at a time. I don't know,
or more than that.
Or perhaps other apps download 3. So that you've got some ready to listen to.
No, I think they must do more than that, because the app I use, which is the purple one, I mean, I don't use it to listen.
The new Apple podcast one.
Yes, exactly. That downloads an episode every week. So if I'd subscribed, last week, would it have downloaded all of them?
No, it wouldn't have done. No, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't have done, because your phone wouldn't be able to cope.
Okay.
If it downloaded 250 episodes of an hour each.
Okay.
Nobody's phone's got enough storage, so that's why it downloads. Only
that would explain a spike, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we must have been mentioned somewhere. That's all I can think, which is lovely. It's just a bit frustrating. You don't know where.
Well, we must remember that Jack Reacher says that some things have no explanation.
Yes, absolutely. And I do have a Google alert out for Own It, so I do know when we're mentioned anywhere.
Yes.
But people can mention things on their own podcast and it wouldn't get picked up by Google. So
it's an inexplicable spike.
Yeah, which is always very exciting, isn't it? So that fuel by far, which I'll tell you about in the project update section.
Okay, because I want to talk to you in the project update sections about that completely random idea that you suggested on.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that just, I don't know whether that's connected. But anyway, shall I tell you what's fueled my fire?
Go on then.
I put this down on the notes, and then this morning I took the time to verify that I was actually telling the truth here. And I've had a sort of major realization. I sort of knew this, but I'd never proved it or quantified it or measured it. And the accountant in me always likes to do all of those things: prove it, measure it, quantify it. The realization this week that I nearly never, I might this afternoon, but apart from that, I nearly never have to do anything I don't want to do.
Oh, lovely.
And that I've always so much enjoyable to do, in the moment, and lots of fun happenings and things to look forward to. My diary every day has only got things in it that I actually want to do. I feel so lucky about that. I'm going to do my tax return this afternoon. I don't really want to do that, but it is only once a year, and it is the only exception I could find looking back in my diary for about 6 months. I no longer do anything I don't want to do. I mean, I've sort of known that. I've never really done it, but I'm quite dutiful. So, apart from sort of, say, funerals, you can't say you really want to go to a funeral, but you do that. But last Christmas was the last time I had to do 2 of them, if you remember. It's a weird thing. It's like, because in a way, it's like what you think retirement will be like, where you just please yourself. I already just please myself.
That is an absolute luxury, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes.
Well, it's a bit like, when I say I want an empty diary, I want an empty diary of things I have to, when I have things I feel I have to do.
Yeah, dutiful happenings.
Yeah, right. But, even now when I'm working with, clients, I do only take on clients that I like, and I'm only... Yes. I found myself writing a letter of thanks to Neil Asher the other day, because I found myself outsourcing a very dull job that I really, in the olden days, would have forced myself to do. And I suddenly thought, why am I doing this? There's people online for $6 that will do it for me. So I
saw you do that on Facebook, but I don't even have dull jobs to do. I don't. I mean, I'm going to do my own accounts this week, but I like doing my accounts.
Yeah, you do.
And it's only once a month, and it takes me less time now than it's ever done, because my business life is so streamlined.
Yes. I like doing my accounts, except for zero bank rec. I can never make them reconcile.
See, I love a bank rec, me. But I don't do any downloading into any kind of software program. I like to do that myself. I'm an accountant.
Yes. But yeah, so yes, I know what you mean. It is a real treat, isn't it? Not
Well, it was, I tell you what I would like to be able to do more of that I still feel a bit guilty about. On Tuesday, I didn't feel 100%. And I had one client in my diary for 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, somebody I've looked after for like a decade. And I remember thinking, if it wasn't for her, I would probably stay in bed today. Not that I was poorly or anything like that, but I thought, nighty, coffee, book, but no, I had to get up, put my clothes on, get downstairs because I'd got her at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then funnily enough, and it occurred to me this might happen, sometimes I'm a bit woo-woo and I go, big you, if she could reschedule herself this afternoon, that would be great. And of course, she sent me a message at lunchtime saying she was a bit poorly. Do you mind if we don't do it today? So I could have actually stayed in bed all day Tuesday, but I feel guilty about that.
Yeah. I don't know how you say it. My bum goes numb if I stay in bed too long.
Well, it's not really in bed. It's like just not getting formally. What I'm doing is I'm getting up in case somebody comes to the door.
Really?
Because I really don't like the idea of, not looking respectable when somebody comes to the door. It's tragic, really. I need to get over it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, because here, you see, you're on the second floor, so we have no such worries. The doorbell.
Well, if I was upstairs and the doorbell went, if Greensleeves went, I'd have to lean out the window, and say, hello, can I help you? Can you leave the parcel?
Well, the thing is about the bell here is it goes off when there's nobody there, so you trudge downstairs and there isn't anyone there. But in Greece, people popped around all the time. You have to be really up and at them by 10 a.m.
Yeah, I know. Well, when the doorbell goes here, it's usually a courier delivering something, and their time schedule is so strict that they've gone before I get to the door.
Yeah. Well, very good. Anyway, let's not go off into...
No. Right, so let's do focus of the week, which is yours, and it's about resilience. Talk me into it.
Right, okay. So it's a word that's come to me recently. I don't know why particularly. It came to me about, 3 months ago. And I thought, that would make a good topic for a podcast. And I'd be able to, because I wanted something I could just interview people on occasionally, whenever I felt like it and they popped up. And I thought, okay, so lots of people started telling me stories that made my jaw drop about, how on earth do they get through these things? And I've been really, 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 really lucky in my life. I've only had that, I want to say that. I've had ups and downs, for heaven's sake, and I've had to become resilient. So I was thinking about the word when you suggested we talk about it, and I was thinking, okay, so for me it means ability to, it doesn't mean ability to just mean ability to endure. It means the ability to bounce back afterwards, emotionally, physically, and financially. And then I thought, well, I'm always looking for the secrets of success, which is why I love interviewing people, to see if I learn something new about how people do it, as it were, in inverted commas. And then I started talking to people, and as I say, they told me such astonishing things. I mean, just, all sorts of things, from death threats through to losing family members to murder. And I just, how do you ever move on? How do you get through that, for a start? And then how do you move on from it? And do you ever move on, or do you just congeal around it like the fried egg? Somebody described grief like a fried egg to me once, and I thought that was a really good thing. You don't ever get on or past it, you just congeal around it. So it's still within you, but like the yolk of a fried egg, but it's your life goes around it. And I thought, then I was thinking about it a bit more, and I was thinking about, you can't say before you've had any difficult times whether you're resilient or not. You can only find out if you have resilience within you by going through bad experiences and then actually recovering from them in some way. And the more experiences you have that you then recover from, whether they're emotional, financial, or whatever, you gain this feeling that you might be a resilient person. And that gives you a little bit of confidence that you're going to be able to carry on. And then finally on Sunday, I was watching the Kardashians, as is my wont. And Khloe, poor old Khloe Kardashian, the big blonde one, she has had unfaithful man after unfaithful man. And one of them was unfaithful when she was 9 months pregnant. The one previous to that was the big basketball player who he had a terrible narcotics problem, and he was terribly unfaithful. And they find out about it on social media. People start posting pictures of their men being unfaithful and in public. And I just thought, she must be so resilient or have some, and I think she's got a family around her, and they're a big band of sisters and mothers and all that stuff. But how on earth do you how do you become resilient? Only by experience, I think. How do you know whether you're resilient? Why does it take some people longer to bounce back from things than others? Is that because they're more resilient, or is it because they've got more resources? Resources, I think, definitely helps with resilience. So those are my rambling thoughts on the topic, Judith.
Okay, and would you call yourself resilient?
I would now, but I wouldn't have done in the past.
Yeah.
I think if I've been through what I've been through, which is, I was thinking about it because I'm seeing someone on Saturday, dinner party on Saturday. That's another going out event. And I thought, they're going to ask me how I've been. And funny enough, the expression, I look quite different to how I looked when I last saw them. And I thought, if they say anything, then what am I going to say? And I thought, I'm going to say 10 years of sheer and utter hell is, will do that to you, But then I thought, now, I'm more resilient because of that 10 years of sheer and utter hell. And it hasn't been consistent. It's been up and down, up and down. So I've become more resilient as going through things and surviving and coming out the other side. I think that's how I feel now. But if you'd asked me if I was a resilient person before, I'd have thought I was a complete blancmange.
Yeah. Is it my go?
Yes.
I think I'm resilient, and I wish I wasn't. And I'm resilient for the reasons you've described, which is, I went to boarding school and I've had decades of self-employment. I've been single all that time, and now I'm homeless and a waspy woman. So I'm resilient because of what life has chucked at me.
Yeah.
And I also think it's quite a blokey quality. And I wish I was more feminine in terms of yielding and not being so bouncy. Actually, I wish I wasn't as resilient as I am, and life's done that to me, which is what you've just said. And I would say 10 years of sheer and utter hell, actually, as well, for different reasons. And I looked up, I googled it, and funny you talk about the Kardashians being surrounded by sisters, because I looked up, I thought, I don't really know very much about resilience. It kind of is just, it's always been there in my life, if that makes sense. I mean, I went to boarding school when I was 10, and my brother when he was 7, and the bank put him through some quite strenuous personal development work once when he was on the way up, and I would say he was probably about 35. Yes, and I started all my personal development when I was 37. I remember saying to him, what have you learned? And in tears, he said to me that, the work that they'd done at the bank had forced him to admit that when he was 7, his parents had abandoned him.
Yes, because that's really what it was, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that if that doesn't make you resilient, when you're abandoned at age 7.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Well,
funny enough, mine was locked up in a mental asylum.
Yeah, it's brutal. But anyway, so I found this very interesting article, which I'll link to in the show notes, by the American Psychological Association, and it talks about what's resilience and factors and strategies and 10 ways to build it. And the first one,
oh, lovely,
I haven't got, but it's what you just described. Well, I have got it in part, but it sounds like, and I kind of poo-pooed it a bit because you and I are a bit hit and miss on this, but it sounds like the Kardashians have got it. So it says the first one is good relationships with close family members, friends or others are important. Accepting help and support from those who care about you and will listen to you strengthens resilience. And if you haven't got that, it basically recommends that you go to, volunteer or join a faith-based organisation or something that provides social support and can help you with reclaiming hope. Because I think perhaps when you lose hope,
yes,
that's quite a difficult thing, isn't it? And this point, which I really like, and I have done this before in my life, assisting others in their time of need can also benefit the helper. So the financial crisis in 92 was when I was a volunteer at the Royal Hospital and Home for Incurables. I don't know if you remember me telling you that, with the music therapy. With the music therapy department, with people who'd been in car crashes and would never be able to move anything in their bodies again, but could enjoy us making music around them. And I couldn't stay there very long because it was just too difficult. And they told me, don't worry about that. So did the doctors and nurses. But the point about volunteer work is you realise how lucky you are, even when you think you are quite the opposite, if that makes sense. I'm still fully able-bodied and my brain works really well, and I've got nothing in my diary I don't like doing. Once you realise how lucky you are, even when you think you're in 10 years of sheer hell. Now, this is a good one I think you'll like. Avoid seeing crises as insurmountable problems. I think that's something I've seen you learn.
Yes. Yes, because I used to be really, really a
A
drama
catastrophist or whatever
queen.
it is. Yes. And sometimes I say to myself, oh, Judith, you're just being a drama queen. When I'm sort of I notice myself enjoying the drama.
Yes. I used to enjoy the drama not enjoy it. I used to
Live in it. Yes.
yeah,
Just nobody had taught us another way.
roll about in it.
Yes, exactly. So here's one that I think we've both embraced, accept that change is a part of living.
Oh, I'm still not good with that one, Judith. I blooming hate change.
Certain goals may no longer be attainable as a result of adverse situations. Accepting circumstances that cannot be changed can help you focus on those you can alter.
This is all starting to sound like the 12-step program, really, isn't
Well,
it?
now moving towards goals, which I thought, oh no, I don't like goals. Then it said, do something regularly. This is a good one. Even if it feels like a small accomplishment that enables you to move towards your goals. Instead of focusing on tasks that seem unachievable, ask yourself, oh, I love this. What's one thing I know I can accomplish today that helps me move in the direction I want to go?
Oh, I do this for my business all the time.
Quite.
Quite.
So this is why we're resilient. This is why we're resilient, because we've already mastered most of these 10 steps. Okay, so take decisive actions. Act on adverse situations as much as you can. Take decisive actions rather than detaching completely.
I am really bad at that. I should have moved out of that house on the beach 6 months before. I really avoid making decisions until I'm pushed into a corner. And I know I should do it so much. That's moving back from Greece was the one proactive decision I've made in my life, really, I think. Very, very bad at this.
Okay. So being decisive and acting accordingly, it says, it helps us be more resilient.
Yeah, I think my innate optimism leads me to hang on to situations longer.
Well, optimism is one of the ones. Hang on. So here's one. Look for opportunities for self-discovery. People often learn something about themselves and may find that they've grown in some respects as a result of their struggle with loss. Many people who have experienced tragedies and hardships have reported better relationships, a greater sense of strength, even while feeling vulnerable, increased sense of self-worth, a more developed spirituality, and a heightened appreciation for life.
Yes, all of that.
Yes, quite. Yeah. Nurture a positive view of yourself. Developing confidence in your ability to solve problems and trusting your instincts helps build resilience. Now, I think that's what I teach my clients. Remember, my book was Trust Yourself, You've Got This, Yes. And one of my clients this week solved a big problem all by herself. And I said, look, you've done what the book said. Keep things in perspective. Even when facing very painful events, try to consider the stressful situation in a broader context and keep a long-term perspective. Avoid blowing it out of proportion. Well, that's a bit like the drama queen one. Now, here's the one about optimism. Maintain a hopeful outlook. An optimistic outlook enables you to expect that good things will happen in your life. Try visualizing what you want rather than worrying about what you fear. Well, we're quite Abraham-y on that one. And the last one is taking care of yourself, paying attention to your own needs and feelings. I think this should come higher up the list. Engage in activities that you enjoy and find relaxing. Exercise regularly. Taking care of yourself helps to keep your mind and body primed to deal with situations that require resilience. I think it's a useful quality to have. I regret that I'm so far over that side into it, and that's been forced upon me by what's happened to me in my life. And it really does feel like it's happened to me, not that I've chosen it. I mean, if I had boyfriends that kept cheating like Chloe, I'd have to accept my part in that. So I was a bad chooser.
Yes.
But I don't feel boarding school, decades of self-employment, being a singleton and homelessness and waspy. I think at least 3/5 of that has been thrust upon me.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And the thing is, when you're a resilient person and you're not a little wilty wallflower, people know that you'll crack on, and you don't get offered the help.
It's interesting you should say that, because the first flat I bought in London in 1979 flooded twice during the period of my ownership. And I remember thinking, that's okay. My mother came round and took off her trousers and swept the muck out and all that. We sorted it. But I remember thinking and saying sort of to the universe or God, just because I am a strong person, that doesn't mean I want you to send me any more SH1T. Just because you can handle it doesn't mean you should or have to.
No.
Or are up for it.
No, exactly.
I'm resilient, but I'd like an easier life now. Thank you very much.
There's a trade-off, though, isn't there? I mean, if we weren't resilient, we wouldn't be cracking on with life. If we, there's a trade-off.
Well, I think this list says that. Yeah, I think this list says that. I think. Well, there's a good question. Was there the seed of wallflowerness ever in us?
No, because my mother knocked it out of me when I was
My parents did not bring up anything that had ever any potential to be a wallflower.
No. So in some ways, one could argue that our early experiences did us a favour, but it's a double-edged sword.
It is a double-edged sword, yes.
I'm thinking about it in business terms. I do think it's important to be resilient in business. And I think, the more situations in business you've faced or indeed seen other people face, because we see a lot of different businesses, don't we, as coaches, and we hear other people's stories. So in some ways, it gives you more resilience because you know how other people have handled things in the past, as well as how you've handled things in the past.
I would say that when I started out in business and in life in the 70s, everything was much easier. I think life's got a lot harder. And so resilience now is almost essential. And I coasted through the first 20 years plus of my business because it was just a breeze.
What's occurring to me is the fact that we were very blessed to be born when we were, because the two generations before us had war to contend.
Yes, they did.
I mean, how anyone can cope with that, I don't know.
Well, no, exactly right. And yeah, I agree with you.
So really, it's all about getting up every morning, making your bed, getting showered so you're ready for visitors, and then doing one thing to move your business forward and being grateful all the while.
Well, yes. I'm not sure. Interestingly, did that list mention gratitude? I don't think it did. It
didn't, but it should have done, because it's the main,
maybe.
No,
I don't think there's any relationship actually between gratitude and resilience. I think that the gratitude work that we do is about attracting good things.
It's also about coping when you wake up and you think, I can't get through today. And then you think, no, don't be ridiculous. Think of the things you're grateful for. And it's a fantastic tool to lift your spirits or to make you feel that you can get through the day. It really is.
The hardest thing that's happened to me in 2019 is the kittens.
The kittens? They were that bad?
They were that bad. Yeah. Do you remember I stood in the shower and said, I hate the pink kittens? They made my knees hurt really badly.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes, it is terrible. Isn't it funny that when you think of it, that's actually, it's a funny story, that in a way, which is, Judith Morgan says the worst thing that's ever happened to her in 2019 is 3 fluffy little kittens. I mean, if that's the worst thing that's happened to you compared to the First and Second World War, you're all right, Jack, aren't you? I didn't have the coping skills for them, frankly.
And like that.
Yeah, I didn't have the coping skills for them, and I don't want to acquire them.
No, and you'll never go anywhere near.
No, I won't. I've learned my lesson. But maybe that's a resilience thing, which is, I haven't got the threshold for this. I won't do it again.
Yeah, and you've got the robustness now, because from resilience comes robustness.
Well,
no, I don't think so.
From adversity comes learning. Yes, but yeah. I've had enough now. Thank you very much, whoever sends it. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to revert to breezing through life for what remains of mine.
Yes. Oh, funny. So, do you think we've done resilience justice?
I think we have. I think it's useful. But I regret how resilient I've had to be for various different reasons. I'd like to be more, I don't know what the word is. What's the opposite of resilience?
Fragile.
What? Fragile?
Fragile?
No. No, I'll look that up while you're telling me. Have you got a word of the week?
My word of the week is, it's disguised. My word of the week is clean.
Oh, hang on a minute. That means you want me to allow you. Hang on. Antonym for resilience. That means you're trying to sneak past resilience.
No, I'm not. It's quite straightforward. And my word of the week is cleaning. But that's actually tolerations in disguise, because there was one big job here when I came back I knew that I had to do, and I knew nobody else was going to do it, and I knew that either I had to pay for someone to do it or I had to do it myself. And then I realised I couldn't pay someone else to do it because I was too ashamed, so I needed to do it myself. And Phoebe finds it very funny that I get embarrassed and ashamed about stupid things like that. And so I cleaned the bathroom from top to bottom, Judith, I went into the shop and bought all the sprays I need, because they've got a real problem with damp and mould here.
Yeah.
If they don't have the windows open all the time with a good flow through, they get black mould. Have
they got a bathroom or a shower?
There's a bathroom with a shower, and then there's another bathroom with a shower.
So is everybody showering?
Yes, and people.
Because one of the houses I stayed in, they made me hoover up the water in the shower every time I use it, and then black mold doesn't grow.
Well, what we found is that there's a really good mold and mildew spray.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
and it is magical. Phoebe sprayed her bathroom, and she has had an ongoing problem with it, in spite of having, various gadgets that are supposed to remove the damp from the air.
Yeah,
and it completely got rid of all the black in her bathroom overnight.
And then what you have to do then, sort of wash it away, or does it just magically disappear?
Well, you do rinse it afterwards, but you don't have to. It just actually disappears. You forget, I think, that black mold is a growing thing. So when you spray this thing, it sort of shrinks back into itself, and you have to keep spraying it until the roots die. But even my bathroom that I share with Nelson, so you can imagine how bad it was, is now sparkling, and it's like a hotel bathroom, and I'm so pleased I did it. It was 3 hours of hard work on Sunday, which I had to have rubber gloves on up to my elbows.
Yes,
but it looks fantastic, and now I could hire a cleaner happily.
So what's your word? Cleaning
tolerations.
It's very funny that I'm not going to put the bracket in. It's very funny that you should pick that, because I've picked something very similar in Who or What's Impressed You. But you were right, by the way, that the opposite of resilient is fragile. And when I read this list of opposites, I'm quite pleased I'm resilient, because they go fragile, brittle, breakable, delicate, inflexible, unyielding, rigid, stubborn, frangible, flaky, spiritless, and inelastic. Flail. I mean, they're frail. I mean, I'd rather be resilient than any.
Yeah, given a choice, I think we both plump.
Yeah, we would. We would. Yeah. So, shall I tell you my word of the week?
Yes, please.
I've got to go back to my things. Oh, sleepless. On Tuesday night, I couldn't sleep. I had unreasonable night fears, anxiety about the state of the world and the state of the nation, the general election, rock and a hard place, all night. And it's everything's all right in the daytime, but sometimes in the dark, particularly when I can't sleep, and I write long, ranty, angry blog posts in my head, which serves only to keep me awake. And they are genius opinion pieces, but fortunately in the daytime I don't feel the need to share them. The upside of sleeplessness is that the next night, which was last night, I will sleep like a log. So I'm fabulous today. The sun is shining, as you rightly said. I'm caffeinated. The washing machine is on. The cleaning lady's coming in a minute.
Nice noises.
I must say I have no shame about cleaners coming. That's the point of them, as far as I'm concerned. I do tidy up so that they can clean, but this house is, well, she could live here 9 to 5 days a week and barely dent the job. And I don't feel any shame that I've made a mess in the kitchen and in the living room, and she's going to clear it up today.
Very good.
No shame at all. Now, project updates. Shall we start with this weird idea that you sent me about?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Good, because I don't understand it at all. Tell me.
Okay, so when you go to my mentor's website, it's largely podcast episodes, because that's his main marketing tool, and you can actually scroll down the page to read the transcription while you're listening if you want to. But he also offers the option to download the PDF. I suppose that's for people who don't have time to listen and don't have time to read, and who don't want to forget this.
And do they have to opt in to do that?
Yes. Now, I never done this because I couldn't figure out the mechanism. And even though I've asked him a couple of times, I couldn't figure out the mechanism by which he does it, because to set up an opt-in that just delivers that PDF and then puts people into a mailing list is so unwieldy on the back end that you end up with, honestly.
Well, in our case, it would be 252 products and counting.
Yeah, he's up 600 episodes. So yeah. But he says it's a massive, massive lead generator. People come and even if they can read it on the page, they still want the PDF to keep. So that now what he does is you opt in on the page to get the PDF, and you get taken to a page of things where it's a picture of the episode and a little bit of blurb, and you click to download
it yourself. Yeah. Yes.
So he does it all on one page now.
Is he more interesting than we are? I can't imagine anybody would want a PDF transcription of what we've talked about.
Well, it's so funny you should say that, because I thought I'm going to experiment with this, because my VA has got a brother who wants some work, and he does transcriptions. So I thought, okay, well, because obviously I don't want him to transcribe because there's tools out there like Trint, but you do need someone who's really, really good English to take the ums and the yeahs and the inaudibles and turn them into something that someone could actually read. And then I got the first one back and I suddenly thought, oh my God, there's 20 minutes of us rambling about all week.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there's 20 minutes of us talking about The Crown.
Yeah.
So nobody really wants to read about what we like on telly, I'm sure. And nobody really wants to read about what we've been up to during the week. So I thought it might be quite good just to do the What's Fueled Your Fire, Focus of the Week and Project Updates, the word of the week. Probably not even project updates.
I don't think project updates. There's nothing interesting in project updates.
Well, no, because you say every week, no, I haven't got anything.
Yeah. And sometimes we talk about the download stats. No, there's nothing worth transcribing in there.
So I thought even if we just transcribe the middle bits, which are the bits where we usually talk about useful stuff, I don't know, I just thought it's worth an experiment. So then
I think it is worth an experiment. What would we do with an Own It list?
Well, you probably wouldn't do anything with it.
No, I might.
Oh, well, okay. Well, in that case, I can make sure you get copied on them.
I don't want to have to handle it manually. You're saying it can't opt into two places simultaneously?
Well, I'm pretty sure that you can do that. I'm pretty sure that if anyone opts in, I can set up a Zap.
Yeah. If that, then this.
Exactly.
Exactly. Or Zapier. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, so so what's going to happen on the Own It podcast is there's going to be a link to download the PDF.
Yeah.
And then that'll bring them into the list, and then they get taken to this page. And then there'll be on mine, I'm actually going to put the transcription on the blog post because I've got nothing going on my blog nowadays apart from Own It.
Yep.
So I'm actually going to put the transcription on mine because
it's all got good words in it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, yes. And we'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens from an SEO point of view, and we'll see what happens from a lead gen point of view.
Well, I'll wait until you report on both of those factors before joining in.
Yes, okay.
But I can, interestingly, although I stopped writing a newsletter to my old list, I can see the point of starting writing a regular new one to people who are actively engaged in the podcast.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Because I think the people who are actively listening to us are engaged with us now, whereas I think my list had simply aged.
Oh, I see. Right. So, yes. Well,
everybody who was going to become a client had become one.
Yes. Did you not ever get any new opt-ins then?
Yeah, but not enough to make a difference.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So, so it's the first one is getting online in 2000.
But that wasn't what you sent me. You sent me a thing that said, "Let's switch out."
Yes. Okay.
Yes, and then you set me a really hard task. I thought an impossible task, in fact, which was, let's put in a new section in the thing. What's our favourite elderly episode? I was like, oh God, you can't possibly mean I'm supposed to listen to all of the episodes again and find one I liked so I can talk about it. I can't remember any of them.
Well, if you scroll back on the website...
No. That's a classic Nicola Cairncross. If you scrolled back on the website, you could remember enough about one to fake it. But you know me, I'd have to listen to them in order to do a decent job. No.
Oh, you're far too... What's the word I'm looking for?
Conscientious.
Yes,
I tell you what we could do. We could ask the listeners to do that.
What, to name their favourite episode?
Name your favourite episode, tell us why, and we'll feature you either in the show or in the show notes or on our blog or anything. Because Michi did it once in the 2000 show. She said my favourite episode was Judith coaching Nicola about going to Brisbane, and this is why I liked it.
Yeah, but I don't think most people will remember a certain episode.
Well, I don't know. Neither will I. That's the point.
What they've got to do is they've got to tell us why straight after they've listened to it.
It's a very hard task what you're recommending, so you can stick that where the sun don't shine. You can do it if you want, but that doesn't... honestly, what is she asking me to do? I already listen. I participate in this one and listen to it once or twice every week, and I enjoyed them. But old ones, I can't remember.
Yeah. So the best way to tell if there's an episode you might like to listen to, if you're a new listener to the show, is to go to ownitthepodcast.com and to look down the left-hand side where it says, in orange writing, it says popular posts. And then what that's doing is it's bringing up the posts with the most visitors. But that's not necessarily the most popular post. It's just the most popular post on the website.
I think it also might be the popular. I think they're more popular because they've been commented on. And they are a very random bunch as well, it would have to be said.
Yeah, but there is, at least there's 10 ones that you could try. You know.
Yeah, and I also think actually a random bunch isn't necessarily a bad thing because it gives you a flavour of the breadth of the podcast, if that makes sense.
Yes, all the things we talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
So who or what's impressed you?
I have started watching Mindhunter Series 2.
Oh, yes. Loved it.
Yes. Well, I'm watching loads of great telly at the moment. It's always a good season, isn't it? The autumn season.
Well, actually, I don't have much to watch at the moment because no, I don't.
Well, there's quite a lot of drama around, so I've been sort of watching it on, and I've got, because I was in Greece and I didn't have sort of terrestrial telly, was a little bit more difficult.
Yes, you've got lots of old stuff to catch up on.
Well, I have, and also I've got Amazon, I've got Netflix, I've got all the apps, the UK apps. I've got Hulu for the Kardashians.
Which is the one you use most, by the way?
BBC, definitely.
Oh, I mean, of the paid ones.
Well, it's touch and go between Amazon and Netflix, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I could afford to give up Netflix. I think I'm a bit Amazon-y now.
Yeah, I do watch a lot.
I've got more apps, as I said to you the other day. I've got more apps than I need, frankly.
But the thing is, often what happens is, for example, Irving's just recommended Britannia, which is set in the Druids, Roman Empire, sort of Viking days. Well, it probably earlier than that even. And there's Series 1 and Series 2, and I can't find Series 1 for love nor money. So that's why I end up getting lots of apps, because I've got to go and find Series 1 when Series 2 perhaps is on Netflix.
Yeah.
And you have to go hunting around for the first one.
Yes.
So then I end up with lots of different apps. But to be honest, even if they all cost £5 each, and I had 5 of them, that's still only £25 a month for my entire entertainment. I still
find it quite overwhelming in a way, and I notice how I don't go on Netflix very much. I did for The Crown. That was on Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was complaining to Phoebe last night, all these different apps, and I don't know how to use any of them very well. So I end up getting a bit frustrated when I can't find the episode I want to watch.
But I don't think they have generally speaking, very friendly search facilities within them.
No. Their UXs are all very confusing.
That's true, apart from Amazon, which I think is quite good. Maybe I'm becoming a bit, I'm conflicted about Amazon because of their work practices, but their UX is quite good.
Yeah. So what's impressed you then?
Well, on the cleaning topic, the dustbins. Now, you know that I am a bin monitor par excellence, and I love the whole thing of getting the bins out. I noticed this distinctly holier than thou feeling when I put out everything on time and sorted it appropriately. And with all this moving around that I do, some of the systems in the local councils are completely impenetrable. But here, it's simple. They have a thing down the bottom of the garden, which I would never use, that they do, and you would. They put glass bottles in, and that's collected once a month. And this week, the glass bottle collecting man came at 8 o'clock in the morning, on the morning after I'd had the sleepless night. And there was this huge noise of vast quantities of glass bottles from my house and next door all going into this sort of smashed up repository, which was quite dramatic. But every week, so I don't even have to alternate here, every week it's either refuse, which can't be recycled, or 2 choices: tins and cans and plastic and cardboard. And that's it. It's so easy. They come when they say they will, they take it all away, and the woman of the house here has this wonderful system of the rolls of bags that you need in each bin are in the bottom of the bin. So when you've taken the bag out and emptied it, the replacement bag is waiting to be. Yes. So it's actually, I love her system so much, perhaps enough to adopt it. Yeah. I mean, it's occurred to me before, but the point is the bins work fantastically here. Okay, so the New Forest is full of old white people, but the dustbins work.
Fantastic.
And the reason this is remarkable at all is because in other places they don't work.
Yeah.
They don't come on the day they're supposed to. They leave the stuff, all over the roads and everything, and then you can't follow the instructions. They're just too complicated. Nasty, messy job. It isn't any of those things here. They've got in Hampshire, they have the bins sussed.
Yeah, it's really difficult here because 2 floors up and you have to take it down.
I know. I do know.
And it has to be put in certain things, otherwise the seagulls
yes,
get it and things
absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah, it's not a simple, straightforward thing at all often. That's why I'm impressed by this one, because it is.
Systems, we love them.
We do quite like a system. Yes, it is. I'll see you next week when I will be somewhere else. Where will I be? Near Tunbridge Wells next week.
Oh, okay, very nice. I look forward to that.
Okay, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.